The movement must continue. See, we let it go to sleep. This movement's got to be woke up again.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Lounite, Unite Louisville. Did you miss us? We weren't here last week, but we're back at it again. It's your girl Farron Kia, the CEO and founder of Love Thy Belly LLC, the premier body positive organization here in the city of Louisville, committed to the representation of fat and large bodies in multimedia forms. Today I have a very special guest, Asa Coleman, the executive director of Coleman Prep Academy, the only HBCU-inspired school in the entire state of Kentucky. Hi, Asa.
Hi, how are
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm very excited for you to share everything about Coleman Prep. Where did this idea come from? What do you do? How do you sustain it? All of those kinds of things. So first, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. So my name is Asa. I am from Norfolk, Virginia by way of DC. I went to Howard University.
Okay, HBCU.
Of course. I have a degree from George Mason, a certificate from Cornell, and working on my doctorate at Louisville. So
really degreed up.
Yeah. But education is important to me. I mean, so if I'm not doing it, then I can't really expect all that from my students. So at least I think I'm a role model in that way for them.
Okay.
So that's about me. I have two children, Terry and Talia, 12 and 8 years old. I am an author.
Oh, wow.
I don't get to manage that as much. I don't get to do that as much. And now I'm like kind of into jewelry. So like making jewelry. So it's kind of more decompressing.
Okay, so not necessarily like a hat you're wearing. It's more of like
it might get there.
Okay,
it might. Some of my stuff looks good.
I mean, you do give entrepreneur.
Definitely, definitely. So, but Coleman Prep is first and foremost. So that gets like all of my attention, and that's it.
No, but you have published books.
Yes, I do. I have one. I have one published book. Yeah, Trust Issues. So that was years ago, but it's about relationships, and even with that, it's about your friendships, relationships, romantic and otherwise. You have trust issues in those, and so there's ways to address it, and there's ways to just leave it alone, and you see how that works out for you. And it usually doesn't. So it's a novel. It's fiction, but there's definitely a lot of truth in it. But even at that, it was a matter of trying to bring that part of me, like the idea that I love writing, into Coleman Prep. So we have Young Authors Night, which is always in November, and that's an opportunity for every student in our school to write a book. Because again, it's about them being able to express themselves. And, maybe they'll be authors. Well, they are authors, but maybe they'll be published in, Amazon and Barnes & Noble and everywhere else.
So they get to write an entire book and share their own story.
They do.
Wow. So I'm saying that like I'm surprised or whatever, but I actually worked at Coleman Prep. So I've attended Young Authors Night. And it really is incredible to see 4- and 5-year-olds literally telling a story, right? You have images, you have words. It's phenomenal for them to light up and see that their books are published in that sense, right? Like they get to legitimately publish a book and have other people read it and interact with it. I won't share too much with you because you definitely need to go to Young Authors Night in November. But Asa, tell us how you started Coleman Prep. Where did this idea come from?
So in my time in DC, I worked for DC Public Schools, DC Charter Schools. So I've been an educator, but when I moved, and even before I moved, it was just this like absence, like feeling like there was something else that I could do and should do, right? Being beyond my classroom. And so I moved here with the expectation to open a charter school because, again, I'm coming from DC. It's charter school in every corner, so it's not a big deal. But I got here and learned about the politics of Louisville, and so oh, maybe not. But it around 2020, when everything was going on here, it was really being shown what these disparities are, and feeling okay, this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. We have always been a people who are excellent. We are compassionate. We are passionate. We have all of these great qualities, but in the public school system, a lot of that gets diminished, not acknowledged in any way, shape, or form. And that's not okay. And it's like, okay, I want to create this space where these kids can come and be themselves. They can be great. What I've been kind of like using more recently to explain is like absence of any type of microaggression. Like they don't have to worry about that. And I can say that because I went to Howard and then I went to George Mason, both great schools. But the experience that I had at Howard is way different. It is way different, and it really does stick to you. And I can say that that's why Coleman Prep exists, because I'm like, you know what? That was so powerful for me. That needs to be replicated, and it needs to start at an early age. So that even if they go through Coleman Prep and matriculate and graduate from us, and they go somewhere like a PWI, okay, but you know who you are. And those other things that may happen, it doesn't even bother you because you are grounded in who you are. And you're like, okay.
You have that strong foundation built. Exactly. So you went to Howard, and a historically Black college university, and then George Mason, which is a predominantly white institution.
Yes.
Those are extremely different experiences.
Very much so.
What was that like?
It was weird in the sense that, okay, let me back up. My high school was mixed, but my classes weren't. Okay. So I went to predominantly white high school. I'll give it was kind of mixed. They did busing like Louisville. And so we were all over the place. But my classes were not. It was only 2 Black people in all of my classes. And out of the 2 that were in all classes, it was only 4 of us. All of us were women. And 3 of us went to Howard, 1 went to Hampton. So that's just, again, just shows you how it was. But doing that, being in that experience, it was like, I have to go to HBCU. And I got scouted by Virginia Tech, UVA, Penn State, and I'm like, no. I need to go somewhere else. But it was going from that, then going to HBCU, and then going to George Mason. So George Mason was like my high school. I was only 1 or 2 Black people in my classes. As we're doing these educational psychology classes, and my classmates are talking about these problem students, I'm just sitting there like...
You're specifically saying problem student. But I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And so just feeling that and just listening to how they're speaking to these students. And I'm like, you think you're in a safe place, but I know who you're talking about. So just imagine what this child is feeling in your presence every day.
So does that make you more intentional in your classroom setup at Coleman Prep?
Absolutely. Now, I do catch some flack because people want me to only hire Black teachers, and I can't do that. We do still need to teach our kids how to be inclusive as well, right? You know, we still need to understand how to deal with everybody. You know, it's a learning experience for everyone. But I try to pick people, and even in my question for interviewing now, I'm very intentional about this is what Coleman Prep is. Explain to me how you're going to add to it, you know? So you should have a rock and roll staff this year.
I love that.
I'm excited.
So that's a little bit about how Coleman Prep started. Then we're going to learn a little bit more about how Coleman Prep is going to continue after this break.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you, and stay plugged in.
All right, and we're back with our special guest, Asa Coleman, the Executive Director of Coleman Prep Academy, the only HBCU-inspired school from K through 8 in the entire state of Kentucky. So, Asa, you told us a little bit about how Coleman Prep came to be. So what about this will be your 3rd year of CPAV here in Louisville. So what's that experience been like from year 1 to year 2?
Well, unfortunately and fortunately, we've moved every year. But I think every year we've gone somewhere better, right? You know, we've had more space. But this year we finally have our own space. So that is really cool. But we also have a space that gives us access to the outside. And that's something we haven't been able to do. So we have space for a garden and a plan for a garden. You know, we have PE coming. So that we have like the field across the street. We have California Park, California Community Center. So I'm really excited about how we are able to utilize that to just kind of maximize opportunities for our kids. But, we have even more specials. So we started out the first year with some things, and this year we're adding photography, videography, PE, more official and structured PE. And I think those are the things that will allow us to be more sustainable. Provide these types of access and exposure to our kids, which is again, something I've always wanted to do for them at an early age. We were talking about doing a podcast, right? What 4-year-old is even having that type of opportunity, right? Last year we were able to expand some of our future-driven programming. We do politics. So last year we did politics, entrepreneurship, and finance. And this year we're going to be adding the health part of that, and doing some journalism as well. So that's where our podcast piece comes in. So, our kids had Blazer Mart. So they literally had their different sections, because you helped them with their candle category, and they sold out of this stuff, but just to see them create something and then sell it.
What was Blazer Mart? Talk about that a little bit.
So Blazer Mart was a time where they had, we had 4 different groups. They had one art group. We had a vinyl group where they made bags, and we did cups and whatnot. Then we had jewelry and candles. And so the kids were separated into the different groups. They had to fill out a business plan with their teacher leader and go through the process of like, well, what is it why are you making this? Giving them this really entrepreneurship vibe, right, at a very early age, and they're kind of all over the place because they're young, and that's expected. But when it came to actually doing the work, they were all into it. And so each group made something. They had a product, and we had we set up at Opportunity Corner. Our kids had their families and just people in the community come by and buy their stuff. They set their prices. We had little bags, and they're just telling people how much it is. And then we helped them with the money part because they're young. We're getting there next year. They'll be able to handle all of that on their own. But yeah, Blazer Mart. So it was our whole little store.
So the ages of these students are?
Pre-K 3. So 3 years old is our youngest student. Last year we stopped at 4th grade. So 4th grade was our oldest student. So this year we're going up to 8th. So hopefully we
had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And they were actually creating their own business plans, right? Coming up with their logos, their themes, their slogans, their reasoning, their why, and what sets them apart from other businesses, right? They had to answer the question of, why would someone want to purchase your products instead of someone else? Yep. And I know this because I did get to work with the students, and I was one of the teacher leads. And one of their responses was, well, because I made it. And
exactly.
And is that not the best response you can get? Like, yes, they're going to invest in me because I'm me.
Right.
And this is the type of culture and the positivity, the energy, and the confidence that being at this HBCU-inspired school, these students are able to have at a very young age. Can you imagine being 3 and 4 years old and knowing for a fact that you are worthy, that you're smart, that you can literally be anything you want to be. You can run your own business. You can be a doctor. And even though that you don't have those representations always in film and in media, you had it at your school.
Yes.
And you were very specific in bringing people from the community in to Coleman Prep. Talk a little bit about those type of people who you're bringing, even from year 1 to year 2, and what that was kind of like.
So with our specials, I lean on people who are already doing the work, right? People who are already doing things. So we have Step. She's a step coach somewhere else. So she comes in with us. Farron here is our social emotional learning coach. So again, that's something that she's passionate about. So she's able to bring that to us. Strings. I mean, we have 3-year-olds playing the cello, right? But we ask people who are already doing these things because they're passionate about it. And they're able to provide their own experience because of that passion. And they're even amazed at what these young kids can do. Technology, again, they made their own logos, right? And so, giving them these opportunities and being able to connect with other people in the community in that way. So then they're able to go out here and tell people about Coleman Prep. They're like, hey, I'm excited to drive across town so I can come work with these babies right here on my day. And then we're, again, adding to that. And so, but back to the future-driven programming, we had Attica Scott come when we did our politics piece. Jacory Arthur came to the school because we want our students, and the politics one was important for me because I do think there's this big disconnect with our community. I feel that we want to blame everything on the president. And we have to acknowledge that the president is up here and is worried about the entire country, and we have to worry about our block. And there's many levels to this. And I think we really need to understand and teach our kids, and you teach the kids because they'll teach the parents. We got to learn about who is taking care of this block, this community, this city, this county, and goes from there. And so, you know, this year we're going to be talking more about voting. We did participate in Black Lobby Day. And so that was a cool experience for some of our students, but not all got to go. Well, now next year, I want all of our students, at least more of our students, to go and be able to talk about what policy they think is important. Because we already chatted about how opinionated our babies can be, and that's great, right? We just need to cultivate that, right? So, yeah, being able to bring these people in, so they see people that look like them, they see people that they might see in the grocery store, you know, and make those connections for them. And also understanding that these people are your community. Even our first year, we did our Black History projects on Louisvillians who made history. So again, letting them understand there are people in your backyard who have done some amazing things. There's people all over the world, but there's people right here in your city. You might be related to them, right? And so just getting them to understand that and be able to own it.
Because like we see that when students can relate to the content and relate to the material, that they're able to conceptualize it better, and they understand it a lot more of that, oh, well, this person is somebody who I see pretty often. Yeah. And that in itself is beautiful, is that representation is so close to home that they can then visualize, oh, I can be that. That can be me.
Exactly.
Because representation matters. When we come back, Asa will tell us about the future plans for Coleman Prep Academy, because I already know that there's so many.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you, and stay plugged in.
All right. Once again, you are watching Lounite, Unite Louisville, and we have our special guest, Asa Coleman, the Executive Director of Coleman Prep Academy. Now, Asa, you told us about how Coleman Prep started, how you all have been sustaining the type of programs that you really have instituted throughout the entirety of the conception of Coleman Prep. And now you're in year 3, and you've decided to expand that even further.
Yes.
So what's that going to look like?
So this school year, we go up to 8th grade. Each school year, we've added like a group of grades. So this year is up to 8th grade. Next year is up to 12th. Now, with us expanding to 12th grade, the next programming that we hope to bring to the table is a high school completion program for adults who have dropped out. They can get a diploma through Coleman Prep. But then what's even more special about that, if their children matriculate through Coleman Prep, then they have created a legacy. So that is definitely something that, you know, we're doing. We just announced our partnership with the Family Life Center of St. Stephen's. So with that body, you have Simmons College. And so another HBCU, the only HBCU in Louisville. And so we're looking forward to that, like creating this kind of pipeline for our kids to know exactly where they're going or could go. And they go wherever they want. But they have this opportunity, and we're like preparing them for that. And even our families have this opportunity to connect with Simmons and, you know, a lot of resources in the city. And we're always looking for other organizations to partner with us to really provide whatever you want. Like, I'm kind of open. Just tell me, we can figure it out, because I think it's important for us, one, to kind of come together and be the source for our families.
So Coleman Prep in itself is a community resource, but you also have partnerships with a lot of different community resources. You mentioned St. Stephen's, the California Community Center. Are there any other?
Change Today, Change Tomorrow will have a kiosk right in the back of our building. Who else? All of our specials teachers, for the most part, have their own businesses or their own organizations. So, you know, we partner with them in that way. So.
So although the school itself is HBCU inspired, which would be college or university, you also incorporate a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of people who have businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So then for your students, it's not this idea of you have to go to college.
No.
What you all are giving them the opportunity of to be career driven as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was that an intentional decision that you made?
Yeah, no, it was, because with these specials, and the way I looked at it was, okay, the specials that we offer, strings, technology, what I'm hoping as time goes on is that they develop a passion for these. So you have the specials, but then you also do have the future-driven programming, which is the politics and the entrepreneurship and the finance. But with some of these things, I want to expose them so they can figure out at this age, I really like this. I really want to continue with this. And one way I look at it is like, that could be your backup plan, right? That could be your side hustle, because I learned how to make jewelry when I was 7, and now I'm good at it. I'm great at it. And people are going to buy it because it's me, right? And so we're giving them this opportunity now so that they are able to kind of expand that. And I think as we grow as a school, we might bring in more trades. I'm, again, open to giving our kids this opportunity and that exposure so they're able to make an educated decision. I played the violin, I think in like 6th grade. Now, I didn't like it as much until I got into high school. But imagine if I started at 3, I'd probably be still playing right now. It's possible. So, and we can't just continue to wait to the last minute and try to in middle school, you get access to all of this stuff when I'm also trying to just learn who I am as a person.
Ooh, baby,
middle school is rough, And so we expect them to want to attach to these things, and it's helpful for some, but it kind of misses the mark for others, But I'm like, hey, let's do it down here. And 4 years old and 6 years old. And then you can decide, I really don't like this. Okay, cool. We'll find something else.
The earlier they learn something, the better it usually is for students. Mm-hmm. A lot of schools were implementing sexual education within their programming. Is that something that you've thought about for Coleman Prep, or or maybe not considered, but could maybe in the future?
Yeah, I have not considered it as much because our kids are younger. Mm-hmm. But going into this new year where we might have older students, I do think it is a responsibility of the school. I mean, they come to school to learn. Now, of course, with all of that's going on, parent approval, of course, and permission is necessary. But no, I feel like that's my responsibility, to at least have a space where they can kind of talk about these things. Again, if I'm talking about you being who you are and being safe and creating a safe space and a sense of belonging, that's incumbent upon me to really do that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's amazing. One thing I really want you to talk about, and so it was something that surprised me, even though, again, I worked there, but it surprised me. I came in one day and the students had all of these posters of all these different HBCUs all over the school. They were wearing these HBCU t-shirts. Can you talk a little bit about what that process was, where that idea even came from?
Yeah, well, I don't really know where it came from exactly. Just understanding that we're HBCU inspired, right? And I don't know, it was this one day I was like, you know what? They need to have shirts. They need to have tees. And I'm like, I don't have the money to go buy them, but this is our first year. I got no money to go out here and buy all these tees. And so what I did was a drive, HBCU tea drive. And I'm like reaching out, I just put it on Facebook, and some of my friends that I knew from high school that went to HBCUs and just in general on Facebook, I'm like, give me a shirt in a youth size from your school, whatever. And people did. Like, people sent us shirts. And so our first year we did it at the holiday party. Everybody got a t-shirt. You're able to do it again last year. And so then last year, I took it a step further. I'm like, I don't want you to just have your t-shirt. You have your t-shirt in December, but we kicked off Black History Month with you doing a project on your school, because you need to know your school. At least, like, you need to know what the name of your school is, where it's located at the least, and, maybe 1 or 2 facts about it. But not just wearing the shirts. Because if you walk out here and wear this shirt that says Spelman, and somebody asks you something about Spelman, I expect you to be able to answer that question. But again, the kids who will be matriculating with us, they'll have a nice collection of HBCU shirts. But this year, so I actually have not really announced this yet. Special announcement. I'm actually in the process of creating our own HBCU curriculum. So I am going to really be, again, I want to take it a step further. Yeah, you got the t-shirt. Yeah, you did the project. But no, we're going, each month, there's going to be a theme. Wow. All grades are going to participate in like project-based learning about these schools. And yeah. So that's the next step.
Oh, all right. So now we got that big, explosive announcement.
Yes.
I'm excited. All right. So, Asa, can you tell us about how to find Coleman Prep? You know, maybe someone watched this and they were like, dang, that sounds like a place I want my kid to go to. Tell us a little bit about how someone can send their kid to Coleman Prep or get in touch with you or learn more about the school.
So we are on all social media at Coleman Prep. So Facebook, Instagram, we're on Threads now, TikTok, all of that. So we're at Coleman Prep everywhere. We are having a meet and greet at our new location on 1039 South 16th Street on Tuesday, the 18th. Yeah, July 18th. And with that HBCU piece and the shirts this year, again, we want to have our shirts, but we want to go on an HBCU tour because they're never too young to go see an actual university. So we are doing a fundraiser. You can text Trailblazer, because we are the Trailblazers, to 53555 and donate there.
So you can donate to the school if you're interested in sending your student there, ages K through 8.
Pre-K.
Pre-K.
Three.
Pre-K. 3 years old. That's right. Pre-K. Oh, that's right. Through 8th grade. Then you check out the website. Asa, thank you again so much. And this was Lounite Unite Louisville. It's your girl, Farron Kia. And make sure you check us out, the Plug Network Online, the source for change.
The Plug Network is ever expanding. Subscribe to our YouTube page and hit the notification bell for all updates. Thank you and stay plugged in.